If you find that you are struggling with weak open face over the top slices, this is going to be a video for you to really help you stop rolling the club face open and throwing it over the top. So this is pretty common that I'll see with players as they start the swing, is players for whatever reason have a tendency to really want to roll the forearms and roll this club inside. So if you get into a position here off the start, I did a recent takeaway video that I highly recommend you watch to kind of learn how to get into the proper takeaway spot here. There are many variations you will see, but trying to neutralize that takeaway a little bit. But one thing I will see is a lot of players right off the start, we're going to look at this kind of lead arm, or for me being a righty, my left arm. A lot of players like to roll very palm down off the start of the golf swing for whatever reason. They like to really roll palm down, and what that is going to do is roll this club very low into the inside and open this club face quite a bit. So from this position, as you continue to roll this forearm into a kind of palm down position, this is where you are going to get the club very low inside. From here, I will see players do all kinds of things. I will see them continue into this position where this club now is going to get very laid off, meaning it's over to the left side of the target here, and that rolling of the club is going to get the toe very down, which is going to be a very open position. So this is a topic to deep dive into at another time. But typically, when the club gets more laid off for longer golf swings, the club wants to steepen. So you see Jon Rahm players that have very short and laid off golf swings, completely different matchup there. But as the swing gets longer and laid off, you very rarely see players in this position. Most long swings get a little bit more across the line because the club shallow is better. But when you roll this club into this laid off open spot and the club gets into a longer laid off spot, almost every single time as players work down, that club wants to tumble over the top here. And because again, you rolled that forearm, the club face is usually very open, and your players will a lot of times tumble it or kind of throw it over the top to try to get that club face into a more downward position so you don't hit this ball a mile to the right. So the big issue here is going to be, yes, the downswing of course needs work, but it's all set up because of the backswing. It's all set up because of this rolling motion where that club wants to roll very open and flat. Other issues I'll see when players get here is they'll try to save it and get the club vertical because it's in such a flat position. If you were here and you just continue to turn, it's going to wrap straight around the body. So a lot of times I'll see players retract and kind of elevate this back elbow, which is going to get this club working up. But a lot of times as the elbow disconnects, the club is going to now kick a little bit more down the line, but the lead wrist will cup, players will get very over the top. All kinds of issues develop from this pattern. So we are going to talk about a simple thought to eliminate the rolling move. So basically, again, that takeaway video in the past, a few videos before this is going to be very helpful to teach you how to kind of get into a more neutral takeaway spot here. But from this spot, we really have to learn how not to roll this club into a flat spot where this palm is very downwards, club is very flat, and that club just wants to steepen and throw itself over the top. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a glove out, preferably one from Stitch Golf, and we are going to throw this on, and you are going to use your glove logo as a reference point. So if I get into position here, I'm going to get my takeaway into a pretty good spot where we'll call it, this is kind of neutral at this position here. So now as you go up, if I start to roll my forearm or roll this club into an open flat position, or say I just do it right from the start, you can see this glove logo is very upwards. This glove logo is pointing straight up towards the ceiling here. So now if I start working up to the top, glove logo is going to stay very kind of up in this direction. That is where we know the club's going to be a little bit more laid off, open. You're usually going to throw it straight over the top. So what we're going to try to feel is like this glove logo stays pointing out in front of you the whole time, not letting it roll up towards the ceiling. So say I get into a position here and I roll this glove logo to the ceiling, we can see where that club ends up. But now say that as I turn, I keep this glove logo pointing out in front of me here. This is where now as I start to work back, if I reduce this forearm rotation and keep the glove logo in front of me, this club is now going to stay much more square, and that club is going to load itself down the target line a little bit more. It's not going to get into this laid off open position here, kind of getting into this spot over here. It's going to load down the target line better. So if we are working on the way back and we start to keep that glove logo a little bit more out in front, club is going to load down the target line a little better, club face is going to stay more square. You now have much more room for this club to shallow. So a simple way I would kind of conceptualize this is ideally we want this club to flatten out and shallow on the downswing. But if I use all of this forearm rotation on the way back, that club is going to be in such a flat, shallow position. How is it supposed to get any more flat or shallow from here? You basically have wasted all this motion, which is going to flatten the club. So now when I'm here, I can't go down any further. The only place I can go is to let this club work over the top. But now if I get to this point, keep this glove logo pointing out in front of me, club loads down the line. So now I still have all this range of motion left to let that glove logo fall a little bit more up towards the sky on the way down. So now if I let this glove logo roll up towards the ceiling on the way down, where does that club go? That club is going to naturally start to fall behind me a little bit more. So that is going to be why this is so important, is we want to get rid of this move of rolling off the start, getting laid off, and then kind of throwing this club straight over the top. And we want to learn to kind of get that club into a more neutral takeaway position. And from that spot, we want to feel like that glove logo stays out in front. That's going to load the club more down the target line. And from there, club is going to shallow much more underneath. That is where you should be able to get that ball hooking or drawing a little bit more, rather than kind of the over the top slice pattern. The feel of getting that glove logo to flatten on the way down, not something I would think about right away. A lot of times that is going to naturally happen as you load that forearm a little differently up to the top here, but that is going to be something that I would highly recommend you try if you notice that this club gets into a very flat spot on the way back. Keep that glove logo out and in front of you the whole way up to the top. That is going to load this club more vertically down that target line versus rolling into a flat position and causing the steepening move on the way down.